What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mac. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the star-studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network. And this is Dad and the Boys. If you're listening to us to Fans First, thank you. If you're watching us on Boom Broadcasting, thank you as well. Our 2 episodes last week, at least on Boom, were our highest viewed thus far with our podcast. And I don't think this will be any different because of the breaking news that happened. Of course, we did have a preseason game this past weekend against the Chargers, and we're not avoiding that entirely. We'll talk about that briefly, but did want to mention cuts are still pouring in as the deadline looms for teams to cut down to the 53-man roster. We want to fully wait until we see, okay, who gets cut, who gets added onto the practice squad, and make sure we do our justice with that. But the big thing that happened as of yesterday was CeeDee Lamb getting his deal, 4-year, $136 million. CeeDee Lamb is paid now. I wore an 88 jersey, I believe, the last episode or the episode before. Now I'm wearing a Dak jersey. So hopefully Jerry keeps getting the hint that we need a good contract. But Dad, it finally happened. We had full confidence in it, even though others didn't. What'd you think about the deal now that it's over?
Well, I mean, the details of the deal are still leaking out and stuff as we go forward. But the fact that 88 is going to be here for the next 5 years, folks, it is an extension. So, I mean, if you include the $17 million that he was set to earn in his 5th-year option, you're looking at a total of 5 years for $153 million, which is a little over $30 million a year average. Not bad. He did hit the $34 million contract language and the highest signing bonus for a
wide receiver
in league history. $38 million guaranteed.
Yeah. And then it was 100 total guaranteed as well.
So I mean, as far as what did I think of the contract, I mean, I always would love to see him take less because it means more money to go around for more talent. But did he deserve it? Yes, he did. I've said all along on Out of Pocket and other shows here on Boom Broadcasting. If you are not subscribed, please do so. I've said all along that everybody talks about this Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Folks, I will take CeeDee Lamb every day and twice on Sundays because he performs better on Sundays.
I don't know. Justin Jefferson's still pretty good.
He's good, but I'm telling you, CeeDee Lamb's better.
I mean, when you have the top receivers in the league, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chance.
And I'm not being a homer. I still take CeeDee Lamb.
You would take – okay, question.
There's not a wide receiver out there. There's only been two wide receivers I would take over CeeDee Lamb.
Who?
Unfortunately, I gotta say Mr. Jerry Rice because he is.
Oh, you're talking all time,
and the original, not the original 88, but the next one in line.
Oh, Michael Irvin.
I
don't know. There's other good wide receivers.
There are good wide receivers. I mean, you got throughout the history of the NFL, Randy Moss. I mean, you got everybody. Lynn Swan, way before your time. But there again, in today's NFL, there's not a wide receiver out there that I would put above CeeDee.
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here with Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill's what they call him, cheetah or something like that.
He's fast.
He's fast. He's definitely faster than CeeDee. But all around talent, I mean, CeeDee is amazing. He can go inside, outside. Unlike the other receivers that he keeps throwing up here, folks, CeeDee's projection keeps going up every year.
I will say that his stats have gotten a lot better year in, year out. So maybe it's another career year for CeeDee Lamb. And now the focus is going to go towards Dak Prescott. Can the Cowboys re-sign Dak Prescott? I think it's a yes. And I even went on record on Out of Pocket yesterday via the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. I made the comment, Dak's going to get signed before the season starts.
And I don't think that's out of pocket. I think, with CeeDee, I didn't think that it was going to happen before they got back to Dallas. I didn't think he was coming to Oxnard. He really didn't need to be there. I mean, he was training on his own. He's a professional. And it gave him a lot of time to evaluate the younger talent, to give them repetitions in practice and in the preseason games. It wasn't like CeeDee Lamb was going to be playing against the Raiders or the Chargers folks, or the Rams. I mean, he was not going to play this preseason, and he wasn't going to have QB1 out there to throw the ball to him.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it saved him from risk of injury. And, I said, I reverted back to what Mickey Spagnola said. It's hard to sit on the sidelines or at home when $1 million is going by every payday. So I do believe he would have played regardless if the contract had been finalized, but we don't even have to worry
we don't have to worry about that. That's not a question anymore.
And I do believe that, I'm hoping that they restructure it enough to free up money for the Dak extension, which I do believe is coming. Probably, and you're right. I do believe that it'll be before the season ever starts.
Yeah. I don't think they want to have that lingering in to the season.
Well, and two, you just paid a man $34 million. Somebody's got to throw him the ball. And who better than Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's a lot of people out there that, and we've seen it on Out of Pocket and other shows, and I mean, in the media, where Dak is one of the most criticized players in the NFL.
And to be fair, Tony Romo had that same criticism while he was a Cowboy.
Romo did, yeah. And to be fair, most Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks have until they shut them up and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You didn't criticize Troy Aikman because he was winning Super Bowls. See, like they were,
like nothing.
He was,
almost like Patrick Mahomes has done recently.
3 and 4 years. I mean, he was a Super Bowl champion. So until you get there and you're winning it, you're going to face that criticism, especially playing for America's team.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, Dak, I do believe they're going to get him signed. And I hope that it is before the season starts. That way it's not a distraction at all during the season. And that's not what the headlines are reading about. The headlines are about celebrating wins and victories.
Yeah. And again, like that's what the Cowboys expect to do. CeeDee Lamb, 4-year, $136 million. He is a Dallas Cowboy, and he did not get as much as Justin Jefferson. So that helps when it comes to Dak Prescott. And then probably in next year's offseason discussions will be Micah Parsons. But if you're listening to us on Fans First, we got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back on Fans First, we're going to talk about the final Cowboys preseason game against the Los Angeles Chargers, and then a potential running back coming to the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about that next if you're joining us on Fans First Sports Network, and stay tuned to Boom Broadcasting as we come back from the commercial break. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys on Fans First Sports Network on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel. We thank you guys so much for joining us. CeeDee Lamb, a new contract in Dallas. He is staying put with the star on his helmet, wearing the lovely 88. And we wanted to talk about the preseason game. The Cowboys lost to the Chargers. I tell everybody, do not look at the ESPN box score. Do not look at the final score when it comes preseason. That is no metric. Most of these guys won't be playing when it's week 1 against the Cleveland Browns. Actually, we haven't seen many of our starters much at all in the preseason, other than a couple offensive linemen, a couple defensive linemen, a couple linebackers. And that's the reality of what we live in when it comes to the current NFL preseason format. But we did see Trey Lance. Trey Lance he had flashes, but he also had turnovers. He had all 5 of his interceptions in the preseason in this Chargers game. Some of them were definitely his fault. There was 1 or 2 that were like, okay, can't entirely pin on him. Got pinning on the wide receiver, like not fighting for the ball at that point. That was the big thing I saw, was like there were flashes from Trey Lance, but there were turnovers and there were some really bad throws at some points.
Well, I mean, when you say an interception, if it's not on the receiver, it's always a bad throw.
It's always a bad throw.
But let me tell you, I don't know if I know you were alive then, or I'm pretty sure.
You remember when I was born, right?
I do remember when you were born.
My birthday's in 2 days.
But there was another quarterback in Dallas that threw 5 interceptions in a game. We luckily won that game at the foot of Nick Folk in his rookie season.
Tony Romo
in Buffalo. That's correct. So, folks, where's Tony Romo in the annals of Cowboy lore?
He's one of my favorites,
and he's also the leader in our most of our categories.
The record book for passing in the Cowboys has been renamed the Tony Romo book.
Yeah, and no way am I comparing Trey Lance to Tony Romo. But what I am saying is over the preseason, you have to look at it as a whole. In game 1, Trey Lance did really minimal.
Yeah.
And then in game 2, he started making steps. And some people even say in game 3, he took and made a step backwards. Yeah, he had turnovers. Quarterbacks throw the ball. They're going to have interceptions.
Yeah.
But you saw some of the stuff he was doing. And I mean, some of the throws he was making, and it was just like, wow, this kid's got some talent. There's something there. That we can build on. He's young. I mean, he's young. He's also inexperienced.
Yeah.
So I mean, is there something there that we can build on and for the future, whether that be, a reserve backup quarterback, or later on, a year or 2 down the road, if we re-sign him, because his contract does end this year, and Jerry's already confirmed that he will be on the team.
Dak.
If we re-sign Dak, Dak's our starter.
Yeah.
But I fully expect that to happen, where Dak is the starter for years to come. What does that happen with Trey Lance? Do we swap him out for picks?
Yeah.
Later on down the road to a quarterback needy team as he develops? Is he to that point right now? It would be very, very risky unless we could get one of those trades where, we give him away for
at least a 2nd round pick or something,
or a good draft haul, like what was it Sam Darnold kept getting?
Yeah.
I mean, with nothing proven, you could trade him, get a 3rd or 4th or 1st or 2nd pick, and some teams get desperate at times. But there was some good throws. There was some good reads. There was, his athleticism in the game. It was amazing.
I mean, honestly, just throw him in at wide receiver a time or 2.
Yeah.
He's got
I don't know that I want to play wide receiver. I'm leaving that to CeeDee Lamb, the $34 million.
134.
$34 million a year.
Oh, right.
on the extension, but it averages out when you throw in that 5th year to 30, just a little bit over north of 30. But I mean, you've got guys that made plays in that game. I mean, Aubrey's in preseason. He's in midseason form. You've got Deuce that was really running the ball well.
Yeah.
Malik Davis ran the ball well. So that you saw some things there. You saw offensive linemen playing well. One of the biggest takes out of that whole game, that I noticed, and I don't know if you caught this because you haven't mentioned anything about it. Dallas, when they said they were playing the game, they said, we're not playing our starters. They never mentioned Cooper Beebe playing center against the Chargers.
Cooper Beebe, he didn't play that game.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a starter.
Yeah, so I mean, apparently he won the starting center position, which we figured that it might happen at some time.
Yeah,
Brock Hoffman ended up playing that game, and so did the Shepley kid. Back like 3rd string center. So I mean, apparently, and they never really fully disclosed that Cooper Beebe was the starting center. So I mean, look what a draft. I mean, we got Tyler Guyton starting left tackle,
Marshawn
Nealon, who will probably be rotating in a lot at defensive end, and
Cooper Beebe
and
Kalen Carson, which I mean, we haven't even mentioned the DaRon Bland injury.
That was terrible news.
Didn't want to bring that up, but I do have faith in Kalen Carson to help out this team.
I do, and I'm hoping that everything goes well there and that Bland comes back quick. I hope it's on the shorter end of the recovery time because it is a tremendous loss.
Yeah.
And of course he would get injured shortly after our boy went to Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, Gilmore. So I mean, that was off the table there for us to pick him back up. It just is that, that's the life of the NFL. Injuries happen, unfortunately. And for these young men, injuries happen, and it can alter a career. It can derail a career. It can be just a minor roadblock.
Yeah.
And I hope that's the case with DaRon Bland because he is really a fantastic talent.
He's talented. He's humble. And I hope Diggs is okay and fully healthy and, is running around like we know Trayvon Diggs to do. But this will be an opportunity. Kalen Carson step up. We didn't lose Jordan Lewis to Washington. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that secondary.
And although Booth has had moments at times in the games, I think that, he struggled a little bit, especially against the deep ball. He got beat again for a long pass in this game. He got beaten in the previous game, but the rest of his game was pretty solid. Again, cornerbacks get beat in the NFL. The best thing a cornerback can have is a short memory.
Yeah.
And that was something that's been preached through the years because you're going to not win them all. Just like a wide receiver, you're not going to win them all. Even Deion Sanders, who I assume I think is one of the greatest all-time cornerbacks in the league, would get beat. Mostly, again, I'll say this by Michael Irvin, but there again, Michael Irvin, who you heard earlier when I was talking about wide receivers, how
you love
what
Irvin.
pedestal I put Michael Irvin on, but he had a cornerback in Arizona and the Cardinals, Aeneas Williams, that gave him fits.
Yeah.
Over his career. So I mean, there there's matchups, and that's what you got in the NFL is, sometimes you may be on paper a better team, but
Mm-hmm.
you just don't match up well with that team.
Yeah.
That's what we faced the last few years with San Francisco. We just didn't match up well. And McCarthy is trying to change that culture to where we do, and get us some big boys in there that are maulers. So I'm looking forward to seeing Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith and Zach Martin go
Terrence Steele,
and,
maybe.
and Terrence Steele, who's having a great camp. It's had a great camp. Hadn't really seen him a whole lot in preseason, but he's done really well.
Yeah. And let's talk about one guy who's rumored to be going to Dallas
for a visit.
I was getting there. Don't want to like go for that clickbait fake stuff, but there is a guy who, people wanted on this team last year, and he didn't come, and now he has an opportunity to at least talk to the Cowboys. It's former Minnesota Viking running back Dalvin Cook. Obviously, the Cowboys went out and re-signed Ezekiel Elliott this offseason. They got Rico Dowdle. Dad's wearing his Zeke jersey. He had to get that before we started recording. And so do you think Dalvin Cook at this point, and with the running back room we have right now as of this recording, do you think Dalvin Cook would be beneficial and valuable to Dallas?
Well, I mean, the big thing you got to do in the personnel office is always kick the tires.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see if somebody can enhance your team. My question, Dalvin Cook a few years ago, yes, hands down, he's there.
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably your starter at this point.
but now,
where did he go last year? Was it the Jets?
I think it was the Jets for a brief moment in time. To be fair, Jets didn't have a quarterback.
And they had a struggling offensive line. I mean, and that's what we talked about in a previous episode with Zeke, in New England versus coming back to this line in Dallas, which I think will be a big upgrade for Zeke. I mean, who is he going to replace?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see it. Like, I feel like since we have Zeke, and hopefully this ages well, but if it doesn't, Dalvin, welcome to the team. I feel like we have Zeke. That's good. Like, that accomplishes what we needed in that role.
And a lot of times it'll come down to money, what's Dalvin Cook wanting?
Yeah.
There's 31 other teams that haven't picked up Dalvin Cook. And there is a need for running backs, especially veteran running backs, that still have something left. And problem is, you don't know how much Dalvin's got left. And there again, a few years ago, yes, definitely would love to have him in Dallas.
But now,
I mean, I don't know what he's got left. I mean, he could come in and show us something, and we'd be like, yeah, all right, great signing. He could, but would I give up Zeke or Dowdle? I'm not for sure. And I mean,
I just don't see it. I don't see it working with this team.
And the thing of it is McCarthy loves fullback. So Lipke, there's a good possibility we're keeping him. And then Deuce, I mean, you never know. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Deuce he really showed a lot in this past preseason game. He had a really good game.
I'll just say I'd rather have Deuce than Dalvin Cook, especially since Deuce brings another aspect to this team.
He's that change of pace.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. So, I mean, what does Dalvin Cook offer? I mean, he had speed.
Yeah.
I don't know what speed he's got left.
Yeah.
Because we really hadn't seen a lot from him.
Yeah. And hopefully when we're back for Friday's episode of Dad and the Boys, I'm going to be 4 days older at that point.
Yeah. Today's
3 or 4.
Tuesday.
3 or 4. 3 or
Today's
4.
Tuesday, son.
Yes, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll be 3 days older.
3 days
I knew my math
and
was
an
off.
age, and you'll be 26.
Yes, I will be. So we'll be back on Friday, and we'll have the full 53-man roster. Finally, we'll probably have our practice squad filled out at that point. We'll know if Dalvin Cook is a member of the Dallas Cowboys when we're back for Friday's episode of Dad and the Boys on Fans First on Boom Broadcasting, and we'll talk some more boys with my dad and his son, who's his boy. All right, so you may now return to your regularly scheduled lives. Thanks for tuning in for Dad and the Boys with Mac and Michael, powered by Boom Broadcasting and Fans First Sports Network on the Star State Cowboys Network. And remember, this is our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.